Hello everyone, welcome along to another Motor Town video, and I have quite an interesting one for you today. So I've just went and bought this little truck, very cheap little truck, certainly a more early game style vehicle, and I have my trailer here, and as you'll see, I have some pallets in the back, nothing unusual. There's some pallets in the back of here too. Fully loaded. They're all going to the same place, but the bit that makes it somewhat interesting is, well, first, they're coming from here. This place is just north of Gosan Truck. We're starting off here. I bought the truck from Gosan Truck, and it's going it's only going 13 mile, which doesn't sound like much. But if we have a little look at the route here, heading across the bridge into the South Island, which is to be expected, and we're coming down here along some twisty wiggly roads, and then all the way here to Guanjin. Now there's a shortcut route which I think is here. I think I've never taken it, but I think the shortcut is here. But I'm going to try the road. Whether that works or not is it's a different story. But I'm gonna try the road. But I've tuned this truck to be off-road capable. The important bits to note are plus 10 centimeters on the suspension, locked rear diff, 13-speed gearbox, 10% suspension lift on the trailer too. That is a car I just crashed into. What else have I done? Oh, 300% suspension on both the truck and the trailer. 330 horsepower engine with the turbo. Should be fine, but we are only two-wheel drive in this truck, so it's still going to be a bit of a challenge. But this, if it works, which I'm not sure it will be worth a bit of a fortune. And I've got the 4.0 final drive as well. But I don't think I've ever used this Kira box truck before at all. In my couple of hundred hours I have on this game, I've never actually went and got one of these. I've always just skipped it. And I do have a Kira flatbed, but I fancied the box truck for a bit of a change. But if this works out, I will put the tune ID up in the Discord. The link to that is in the video descriptions and on the channel like homepage as well. And that way, if it works, you guys can use it too. One thing I have noticed is it's maxing out a little bit early. It's a little bit slow on the top end. But that's okay, as long as we don't overheat. I feel like we're going to need all of the radiator we're going to get. I don't know what he is doing there. Turning off the highway from the wrong lane. That's the most realistic thing I've seen in this game so far. But it's quite a long journey, so we'll crack on with it until we get to the fun stuff. We've made it to the first dirt section. I wouldn't really call this an off-road section. It's still very much an easily passable road. We're of course at the Miglum log storage. I had no idea how to pronounce that one. Trailer flapping around in the dirt behind us. Always fun to see. I wouldn't be surprised if the trailer ends up having to not make it, but if I can make it with the trailer, I am absolutely going to give it my level best to get the trailer there too. We're about halfway through this journey so far. First half, nice and easy. Could have done that without tuning the truck at all. Okay, this is where things are going to start getting a little interesting. This, of course, is the end of the road that you use when you're doing the coal runs. And if you haven't done the coal runs, check out my King of Coal videos. They are absolutely awesome showcases of this road and the different vehicles that you can use to do the coal runs. And I'll be doing a more detailed guide to some of these runs very soon. But this is where things are really going to start to show if we're actually going to be able to do this. Yeah, I did do it without too much of a problem. We just had to hold it in gear there. But that was the first trial, if you will. We'll also switch over into drift mode, which will automatically hold it into gears sometimes. Well, so far so good. Climbing a few hills, went through a small patch of mud, changed gear 612 times, but we're getting there and the trailer isn't really holding us back too much at all. We certainly don't have any ground clearance issues as of yet either, but I do know that the road does increase in difficulty as we go on. Like this section right here is a bit of a challenge. There we go. You just have to pick the right route up each hill section. But we have 5 miles remaining. I am aware there is an easier way to get to the destination. There are shortcuts and the likes you can take, but that kind of takes a little bit of the challenge out of this. I want to see if you can do this way, with a trailer and a box truck, and not just drive up the side of a hill that's a lot easier than the road. I will show the shortcut off in another video though, for those of you who do want to do the quickest, most efficient, convenient routes. But this one is more for if you're looking for the challenge and to stick to the roadways, or maybe you aren't confident enough yet to pick a route through the trees, if you will. So far there's been very little that's given us challenge. I'm sure that will change quite quickly though. Trailer started to pull us sideways there. Now if you do ever get stuck on a hill, if you come to a stop, hold your handbrake and the throttle, and then let go of the handbrake. It gives you a little clutch dump, and can sometimes help you get that little bit more progress up the hill. Sometimes you have to do over and over and over again to get up some of the trickier hills, but that's just a little trick I learned a long time ago, and it saved me more than once. Another one you can do is if you hold it down on, if you're playing on mouse and keyboard, it's shift, it will hold you in gear, which is an infinitely useful little trick. Like there, for example, the truck would have preferred to drop about 12 more gears. I'd like it to stay in the gear it was in, and I was able to tell it to do so. Now, if you're coming the other way, this is a little shortcut you can take here. And you can go through the edge of the water right there. I don't know if I'd get out of it this way though, so I'm just going to head around and keep following the road. Nice and easy, does it, no hassles at all. It's a very capable little truck. It's quite light, but it's also fairly low powered, but it's balanced very well. This truck can hold 6 pallets in total. So we've got, well, we're only delivering 10 pallets. Go through the rocky underpass section. It's one of my favourite sections of this road because it gives you a bit of a waypoint, and I quite often sometimes stop here for like in the convoys to let people catch up or to catch up myself and things like that, and it's like a checkpoint along this particular road. Into a bit of mud now. Straight back out the other side like it was nothing. A little bit slidey, a little bit squirrely, but we made it out with no real issues at all there. And we're coming up to the road on the left here where you would come from with the coal and iron runs. So this road from here onwards, I'm not overly familiar with. I think I've done it maybe one time. It seems to narrow quite significantly. It's very steep, try to hold it in gear as much as I can. That, no problem at all there. That was the bit I was most worried about. The rest of it should be relatively smooth sailing from here on out. Although there is one of those little bridges that can sometimes pose a problem for the trailer. There's a couple of ways you can tackle these bridges. The way I like to do it is much and such like this. Look behind yourself and make sure your wheels are going where they're supposed to. The other way you can do it is with this view right here. As you can see, I can see the wheels, but I personally prefer this one. That trailer is teetering off the edge. Let's take it nice and slow, see if we can bring it back up. I really don't want to have the trailer fall off altogether. Like that. See, the trailers are a problem on those bridges because they just catch, if you will. But we made it there in the end, that's the main thing. Let's pull up this hill in first gear. You can actually see our destination just over there. That is the town we're going to. But we now have a muddy hill to climb. This is going to be a bit of an interesting one. Very steep hill, but we made it through the mud, and now we're just pulling ourselves up the rest of the hill. Without the momentum there, we would have never made it up there. I'd say locked diff is an absolute must on this run. I couldn't imagine trying to do this without the locked diff. It's quite a bumpy section, and the bumps can also pose you problems in the sense that they are relatively difficult to climb over sometimes, and if a wheel just gets caught in it just the wrong way as you're changing gear or anything like that, it can be somewhat disastrous. But I am absolutely shocked at just how good this little Kira box truck really is. It's taken all of this in its stride, and the only recovery I had to do is because I was being a little bit too cautious. If I'd kept a bit of momentum coming across the bridge, we would have made it just fine like we did the second time round, and I'd have made it this far without any recoveries, which is insane for me because I can barely pull out of a repair station without needing to recover. Another bit of a steep hill causing us a little bit of an issue, but nothing too bad. That's a good example of what I meant with the changing gears on the little lumps in the road. We were just fortunate enough to be right at the very top of it, but had our wheels been in a groove, I don't know if we'd have pulled ourselves out of that one. Bit of a downhill section now. This is where the brakes get overused, and I did not upgrade the brakes at all, so this could be fun. But in true me fashion, let's just go at it full speed and see what happens. That's what happens. Let's get that back before we do anything else. That's a very unusual camera view. There we are. Let's just carry on like nothing ever happened. Only 2 miles to go until we get to our destination now, which is fantastic. We're actually about to come up onto another road that is frequented quite a lot by myself. Just as we get over this hill, we will pass the junction on the right that we turn down with the off-road bus route. That's the road for the off-road bus, and that is also the road that I came up when I was doing Flash and his plank delivery. I turned that tree into a mixer. Most of this section of the road is all downhill, so we shouldn't have too many problems providing that we don't do that again. Very bumpy little section of the road there. But we got through it without too much hassle. If a Roadmaster can do this, a Kira box truck with Roadmaster wheels can do it. I don't think the wheel style makes really any difference at all. I just think they look cool. And the rain starts. That's certainly going to add to the challenge. There we are. The rain's making the road a little bit slippy, so we're throwing the back of the truck around just a touch. But while we keep moving, we're going to keep moving. Luckily the speed is slow enough that it's relatively easy to control. We do have another one of those tread pattern bridges, one of the narrow bridges to go across, but it's quite a bit shorter than the one we've already been across. You can really see just how much more slippy the road is during the rain. Caught that tree there. That's a bit unfortunate. Didn't cause us to properly crash though, so there is that. Power our way up this hill here. I am shocked that the trailer has lasted as long as it has. This is definitely an interesting route. But let me know in the comment section if this is a route you've done before, and if you have, what did you take? What truck did you use, or did you go with a trailer, without a trailer? Have you done this route with a gigantic semi-trailer road train, which would be very impressive? Or do you take the shortcut? How do you get this delivery done? And while I'm on the topic, you can of course leave me a comment about absolutely anything at all. I do tend to read the comments out, and if I'm not able to read the comments out for whatever reason, I will respond to them in the comment section. So absolutely every single comment does get read, and it does get responded to either in the videos or in the comment section. So there is that, and if you want like a shout out or anything like that in any of the videos, let me know, and I will gladly do that. I have no problem doing that at all. There we go. Third time lucky. Those bridges have been the biggest challenge we've had on this run. Completely. You've got to be very careful with it, or have a slightly less wide trailer. This trailer was not built to do this. It was just slightly adapted to be able to do it. It was built for speed. This trailer is supposed to be on the back of the Lambo, not a Kira box truck. But that's absolutely fine. It's still managing it, it's just a bit tricky. So if you're doing this run with a trailer, don't go for the full wheel spacers, go for maybe 50s or 60s. The 100s are just a little bit tricky on those bridges. We are very, very nearly in the town now. And that is where I will probably take my first actual shortcut. Okay, we're reconnected. We slid back down the hill, but yeah. Let's try not repeat that one. That took more than 10 seconds to fix. We are not going to take the shortcut. The shortcut is between these two bridges. You head off over that farm, and that's you most of the way there at that point. But I've done everything else on this run without a shortcut, so it'll be as well finishing it at the end here without a shortcut. And this is not a section of road I ever really use. A little uphill section here. Sliding an awful lot, but let's hope we can make it. It's a lot of wheel spin. But we made it in the end, that's the important bit. And here we are coming up to our destination. Struggling on the last little hill here. And here we are. Let's just double check and see if there's any contracts. I don't think there is, but we'll check anyway. No, there is, but I don't know how many pallets of each thing we have. We've got cheese and we've got rice. I have 4 rice and 5 cheese. What is in there? 3 cheese in there. So we'll see if there's a cheese contract. So we've got 6 of them. Cabbage, potato, corn, orange, bean, cheese. There is. and let's get this delivered and see if this was even worth it. Well, that was unexpected. That's just from the truck as well, and the trailer's still to come. There we are. That was actually surprisingly good value, even with about 10 FPS. But that's all I have time for today. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, you can of course subscribe. And as always, you can join my Discord. The link is in the video description. And I will be back tomorrow with more Town. And I'll see you guys there. Thank you all very kindly for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.